To call this meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7 p.m. Please stand and join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business this evening will be recognizing Councilor Dolan as a result of the charter objection at the meeting 2 weeks ago. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. I have one motion from the docket of May 21st, 2019, charter objection from the meeting of June 4th, 2019. That's our first order of business. I move to approve the application for a Class 2 license from Daniel Martinez of 47 Sussex Street, Providence, doing business as R&D Auto Sales, to buy and sell secondhand motor vehicles at 116 Dickens Street, Attleboro, Mass, for 5 customer parking spaces and 8 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments, Councilor Dolan?
I guess I would just advise Mr. Martinez, if he does get his license tonight, that he abides by the rules of his license and answers the door when any city officials approach, and just keep everything business as usual and business hours.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Thank you, President Cooper. I appreciate all the work that you've done on this, Councilor Dolan. It's been a bit of a road to hoe. I think it's appropriate that we remind Mr. Martinez also that, as part and parcel to some of our comments that we made previously, that we're not only here to advocate for him and to be able to grant him his license, but we also have to take into consideration the neighborhood and the individuals that live around you. Any caveat that we would normally put into a conflicted license such as this would expire by the end of the year anyway. So I will support the approval of this license. I cannot be emphatic enough with you to ensure that you follow everything to the T and be a good neighbor, because anything that comes back to the municipal council when you have to renew again in 6 short months, this is all still very fresh. So.
Councilor Conti, do you have questions, comments? Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
No.
Mr. Kobus?
No.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. DeLisio?
No.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
No.
President Cooper?
Yes.
7 yeas and 4 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving right along to the public hearings. The first public hearing this evening, Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice?
Yes, first public hearing tonight is relative to the request to change the name for Fuller Avenue South to Harper Way in Attleboro.
Thank you. Is there anyone here this evening to speak in favor?
How y'all doing? My name is Ted Harper. I live on, currently, 12 Fuller Ave South. It's a relatively new address. We purchased it last Halloween. Moved in, realized that the address wasn't recognized by the police or fire department. We had our alarm go off accidentally. Police responded to the other 12 Fuller Ave South, which is actually 10 Fuller Ave Unit 12, but the city recognizes it as 12 Fuller Ave. We don't get our mail, we don't get UPS, we don't get FedEx. We half the time get USPS. Just depends on the driver. So we always go to the 10 Fuller Ave Unit 12 address to pick up all of our mail from Wanda. She's very nice. So I am requesting an address change to 12 Harper Lane. If anybody else lived on my street, I'd be happy to cooperate with them on a new address change, but I believe I'm the only one on that current address, that current street.
Great. Any questions for the gentleman?
Yes.
Councilor Jackson.
Hi, Ted. Very nice to meet you this evening.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. And I understand that you are, because President Perica had, she has given me like all the information after speaking with you and speaking with the different department heads before it was assigned to my committee. Nothing bothers me more than hearing the scanner go off and it's like, you gotta go to 12 Holman Street. Not Holden, Holman.
No, Holden. No, Holman. And it's very confusing, and I don't know why it's that way all the time, but I also, that bothers me. So it's nice to hear that we're going to, like Harper Lane, there's nothing there in the city of Attleboro, so that's good. And the fact that you're going to take care of any financial burdens that come across with your deeds and anything else, with your mortgage and things like that. So that's good. Vice President Parika had listed that before. My question to you is, there's no one else at all that has any property at all on that
No, it's
street
a very,
whatsoever?
very small, call it 25-yard stretch
Yeah.
of concrete that we live on. All the other houses that may look like they live on that address live on Middle Street, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think we're the only one.
And I did notice that in the list of persons that we receive every year, there's no such street. So it's not even in our list of persons of voters. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Vice President Parika, then Council Conti.
So thank you for coming in tonight. Actually, one of the concerns again is if there were other residents on your street, and actually Stephanie's here who helped me determine whether or not there was any abutters or anything like that. And we did notify people who live on Middle Street if there would be a change. I'm not sure if there's anyone here that has an objection to it at this time, but I didn't hear anything back with regards to that. And you were very pleasant to work with, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Council Conti? I'm sorry.
Ted, do you happen to know your assessor's map and lot?
I'm not even sure what that means, but I
would say no, then. I'm
I have
curious.
a map of my land.
Yeah, you're in new construction, is that it?
It was built in 2014.
And so, just to make sure that I'm clear, it's current. Your address is current. Where you're not receiving anything is what? 10 Fuller, number 4 Fuller Avenue,
12.
We're 12 Fuller Ave South,
and you want to be 12 Harper Way,
Harper Lane, if possible.
Harper Lane, and you're the only house on Harper. Is that right?
We're the only house.
Yeah.
All other houses are on Mason Street or Middle Street.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other, Council DeLucia?
Just more of a comment. Ted, good to see you as always.
See you.
I think this makes sense. You mentioned you moved last Halloween. Just want to say your old neighbors miss you. So, but I think it's the right thing to do. So thank you for coming down. It's never easy. So
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And we're the only house able to be built on this little stretch. It's so small that we're the only house possible to be on this little road, lane, way, whatever you want to call it.
If I may, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Ted, the only reason why I asked the question was I was trying to, in my mind, figure out how this happened in the first place. Typically, it goes through engineering, gets to the sign, gets to the assessor, property record card's created, and off we go from there. And you were the victim of some horrible error somewhere.
The builder previously lived there, didn't have a mailbox, had a P.O. box, so the whole time he lived there for 2 years, didn't have mail sent to that address, which is probably why the city didn't recognize it to begin with. And so when we moved in, we realized there was a big situation. And then when the police didn't arrive, after our alarm went off and there was a bigger situation.
But you did get a tax bill.
We did.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions for the gentleman? Thank you.
Good.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak neither for nor against? Anyone here to speak neither for nor against? Council Jackson, do you see any reason to keep this open?
Absolutely not. Thank you
Thank you.
very
This
much.
public hearing is closed. Would you kindly move on to the reading of the next public hearing notice?
Yes. The next public hearing is relative to amending revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, Section 9-35 dog control provisions, and Section 9-35.1 definitions animal control officer.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Whose committee is this in? I'm sorry. So So we're gonna keep this public hearing open. This will be continued until July 18th, as we need to hear from the administration on what they want to do here. Moving right along, would you kindly read the notice of the next public hearing,
Yes,
please?
the next one is a public hearing regarding the application of Jessica Grillo for Column Health to keep a stand in a public place distributing outpatient materials with a table at Railroad Avenue and Park Street.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
I didn't know if I should pass this along. This is a little information about what I'm doing.
Sure,
If you guys
sure, you
want
can pass that to
There's only
Council
3
Blair. and
folders. Should I hand them to you?
Yeah, he'll pass them right around, sure.
There's 3 of these.
Suitable for a male to handle?
Oh, absolutely. There's stress balls. There's only 4 though. If anyone wants more, I can get you more. And this is my card.
Need 7 more.
Sorry.
Just kidding.
I'll drop more off.
Sure, so just introduce yourself for the record.
So, I'm Jessica Grillo. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator and Recovery Coach for Column Health. We are an outpatient substance abuse facility. We just opened on Railroad Ave. This is our 7th clinic. It's a partnership with Sturdy Memorial. We provide outpatient treatment for those who suffer from substance use disorder. But we're not just a Suboxone clinic. We also do mandated therapy and psychopharmacology. So what I've been doing, or I started to do, was have a table up front just with resources on it, so people knew where we were, knew what we were about, just to be a part of the community. We work with the Attleboro Police Department, and he had stopped by the first day I had a table. Wasn't a problem, but then there is another addiction clinic across the street, and the police were called. They came by, he said, well, what are you doing? And he said, can you just let us know when you're doing this? So I went to the police department, let them know. They sent me over here, then to the building inspector, then someone called mayor's office. Everyone was kind of fine with it. I was out there for 2 days, and then the police were called again. Just said to make sure to kind of cross my T's and dot my I's to come and get a permit to be able to stand out there since it's a public sidewalk. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Council Conti?
So you wouldn't think it would be that difficult.
Right.
On Railroad Avenue, are you with the Sun Chronicle building?
No, we're on the other, we're like by the bank. Railroad Ave right there.
Webster Bank.
Yes, right there.
So you're in the Shawmut building.
I don't know what the name of the building
The
is.
big building, 4
Yeah,
stories up.
yeah, we
Okay.
have like the district attorney's office in there or something too.
Yep.
So the people in the building, then when I was standing outside, were very supportive.
So how long do you want to be out on the sidewalk?
Just a couple hours each day, you know, when it's nice out, get some sun, you know, and give some materials out.
So you're asking the council to let you go to the sidewalk, to put up a table,
Yeah.
and hand out leaflets whenever you feel like it?
Well, just probably between 10 to 2, Monday through Friday. Not like all day, just a couple hours each day.
Thank you.
Just so people are aware where to get help, because we're on the side, we don't have any signs out front. So that's kind of,
Poker chips?
they're not poker chips, they have our information on them, but they're more tangible. How many business cards can you get? I know I have a bazillion in my bag, so these are kind of a harder thing, so someone can keep them in their pocket.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Jessica, I just have a question about, have you done this in Arlington, Brighton, Lawrence, Lowell,
Yes.
Stoughton, and Somerville?
Yeah.
And what was the result of doing?
It's fine. I work very closely with the police departments near over there. I'm not from Attleboro, I'm from Newton, so I know the kind of area a little bit better. But it's never been a problem before.
Okay, any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Council Holmes?
Thank you. I'm not against this, but there are already organizations that are kind of I don't know if you can connect with organizations that are already doing things like this, like Fuller has, they do like a round
Yeah.
table, okay.
We are connected with Fuller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they have drop-in centers and they have
Yeah.
opportunities to display everything that you just showed us. So
Yeah.
I think that I'm not really sure what the flow would be if you're just kind of standing at 21 Park Street. So it's just something to consider.
Yeah, I try to connect with everyone and anyone, because you never know who knows someone that can be affected by this. So it's more of just to have my face out there, not always my face, but a face in the community. Just if someone needs help and can come check us out and know where we are.
Sure. I did talk to Joe Casey at the hospital.
Yeah.
Because my concern was an obvious one, right? That, you're right across the street.
Right.
Now, if we have two, and we got the dancing tooth, and we got the
Right.
Statue of Liberty, and,
Yeah.
at what point is enough enough? Really, I'm just
Right.
calling it out.
Absolutely.
I'm calling a spade
Yeah.
at this point, right? So, there was some concern
Yeah,
of mine,
absolutely.
and sort of 10 to 2, if that's your business model, that's your business model. It's not my business, but
Yeah.
it seems like that's not the time that the most sort of traffic is walking down Railroad Avenue.
Right.
I rode that train for 15 out of the last 20 years of
Yeah.
my career from time to time, and I'm also a nurse, and so
Yeah.
I also had to deal with the pop unit on a
Yep.
personal issue very similar to what you do every day. So I think that there's other opportunities that might suit what you're trying to get at than standing
Right.
from 10 to 2 out on Park Street when it's commuter time. That, if you told me
Right.
you were going to stand out there from 6 to 10 in the morning, I would say, well, you're gonna reach people that might be getting to work, that might have someone affected that could
Okay.
benefit from your program, sort of,
Right.
versus somebody that might get off the walk out of one across the street and happen to get a pamphlet for the other.
Right.
I don't want it to be a Burger King and McDonald's,
No.
Walmart and Target.
No.
Right? I don't want that.
I completely, if
So-
I just threw out 10 to 2 because I don't know, I just threw out a time. But I think it was more too now that we're new to the community. I don't think this is going to be like an ongoing outside every day for the next year thing. It was more we're here until at least we get signs up, which I think they're working on. That kind of thing.
Okay, great.
That's actually what I was going to ask. Is there the ability? So I know we have different sign ordinances about keeping like a sandwich sign on the
Right.
sidewalk with "This is where we are." We have permission. That permission goes actually through DPW superintendent. I run an event on Saturdays, and I put sandwich boards out. I have
Yeah.
to get a special permission from them, and I just was curious about. What is the schedule for signage and different things like that, for you?
It's not my department.
in your purview
That's
on
above,
that.
but I know they were looking to put one on Park Street, like where the tall sign is. They were looking, they've been measuring stuff, but
There was a sign company out there just the other day.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was for us, but
Sure.
it was just something that
Is there a way you could maybe find that information out and we can get that back to the council?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that would be
Yeah.
rather helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And are you a for-profit organization or not for profit?
for profit.
You're for-profit.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, Peter. Still
Took
your
the words
thunder.
right out of my mouth. So,
I-
it's for profit,
Yeah.
so it's a private company.
Yeah.
I think that there'll be some interesting discussion about this as it goes through committee.
Council Waterman.
Could you say a little bit more about your relationship with both Sturdy and Fuller? I was a
So-
little unclear there.
So Sturdy, it's a partnership. It's our first clinic that we've ever done this with a hospital.
Yeah.
So anyone that goes to Sturdy Memorial with substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, drugs, whatever, they are seen by our patient navigator who goes and sees them bedside to provide them with help to get into treatment, whether it's column health or not. But we also have Sturdy Memorial doctors at our clinic. I believe they're all ER doctors that go there and are prescribing it and
Okay.
whatnot and see patients. So it's a complete partnership. Like I said, we've never done this before, so it's a little new. Whereas Fuller, it's just a relationship that we've since established with them, that we've gotten referrals from them and also have referred people to them. So that's kind of not the same as Sturdy. Sturdy, it's more of,
More structured.
yeah, exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Council Delicia.
Thank you. Can you just walk me through what it's going to entail? Because I worked for years in retail bank management, and we were always at tables. And,
Yeah.
could go south pretty quickly.
Right.
So, how aggressive are the people going to be behind the table?
It's me. So
Okay.
not
How
that
aggressive are you? No,
I'm
just
not
kidding.
aggressive. It's more of, hi, how are you? Do you know anyone that could benefit? This is what we do. Here's some information. Have a good day. I'm not poaching people. You better do this. telling people from Dr. Berman's office, come here, come here, come here, come this way. You know, it's not like that. It's more, I'm here. You want to ask me what we do? This is what we do. If you know anyone that could benefit from it, here's my card. Here's some information. Reach out to me.
Sign.
That's it.
It's something a little different.
You're right.
A follow-up, if I may.
Yes.
Great. So just for my own, just trying to wrap my arms around it, you'll be standing out front of your own storefront, correct? Not in the
Yes.
corner?
Well, I was on the corner, but I can stand in front of the store, whatever works.
I was just curious, I mean.
Yeah, I was more, like, we're down here, and I was down here more because that's where Park Street is. But I'm happy to stand wherever, as long as I tell people where we are and they know where to get help.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, thank you.
Yep. Is that it? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Anyone here to speak neither for nor against? Seeing none, Council Holmes, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
I will.
That's
Oh, who is it? Is it you? I'm sorry.
No.
Council Dolan.
I do
Do you
not
see
see
any
any
reason?
reason.
Thank you. We will close that public hearing as well. Moving on to the reading of the next public hearing.
Yes, this public hearing is relative to the Class 2 auto license amended application for GMB Inc., doing business as Byrider, 957 Washington Street, for 12 customer parking spaces and 58 display spaces.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor? You know what, we moved a little quicker, and when they called to ask me the time, so why don't we read the notice of the next, and we'll go on to
Okay. So the
Byrider
next
after.
What's that?
Because I don't see anybody here. I don't see the Vashons here, so I told them to
It
come
is,
at 8.
it is kind of early.
Yeah.
The next public hearing is continued relative to amending Section 3 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro as it pertains to buildings and the adoption of the Board of Building Regulations and Standards Stretch Code, which is 780 CMR 115.AA, an appendix to the Massachusetts State Building Code. The amendments may be reviewed at the City Clerk or City Council offices during regular business hours.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Good evening, Council, Municipal Councilors, and Council President Cooper. It's nice to see you all this evening. My name is Kevin Dumas, for the record, 214 County Street, and at the request of Councilor Holmes, I was more than happy to come down to City Hall tonight to speak in favor. As you may recall, it was a couple of years ago that this was first introduced under my former administration, something that I felt was important for a multitude of factors. But first of all, overall, the identity, being a green community isn't just the fact of adopting the stretch code. It also has to do with the state's best practices and initiatives to be in a place where you can actually go through, reduce your carbon footprint, make a difference long-term in your municipality for all new construction, saving precious dollars as it relates to electricity and heating costs long-term, while also providing an opportunity for the 351 municipalities in Massachusetts to be able to be a part of receiving an annual allocation of funds, and for Attleboro that would be approximately $280,000 annually, to program into helping the city reach its necessary 5% reduction in energy cost. That it actually goes through to evaluate all of the city's electric bills for all the current charges, and then to be able to provide dollars that you can go through, whether it's energy retrofits for LED lighting, whether it's changes to your boilers to make them more energy efficient and such, that you can use those dollars for that. Purchasing vehicles that are green vehicles, you could put in electric charging stations at your municipal facilities, a whole host, a variety of things to be able to assist to try to achieve that 5% reduction. In addition to the fact, which is another wonderful benefit, is it provides the city an opportunity to apply for grants in a competitive fashion for approximately $250,000 annually. So you can imagine right now that's 240 municipalities in Massachusetts, 30 most recently as of December 2018, had gone through to become the green community designation, but you can apply competitively on top of your $280,000 allotment annually towards that pool of funds of $250,000 to apply for special projects. So that could be special projects that the city and school could work on together. It could be things that you identify in your capital improvement plan to look at being able to be more energy efficient, some long-term window replacements, again, LED lighting retrofits, green vehicles and the such, really providing an opportunity to make a difference within the municipality. So if you look at it long-term, you can see that there's a significant amount of cash flow that comes in that pours into the city to be able to help out with your goals and initiatives, but also the fact that it also helps the city reduce its carbon footprint, and also for businesses and residents that are built ongoing in the future. This isn't for existing facilities that are built. This is actually for new facilities that are built. So I think that it's a wonderful opportunity for you to be able to continue to consider. And as you'll hear from Gary and others from the Department of Planning and Development this evening, it really provides for an opportunity for the city to stand out in a section of the state. Ironically, if you look at the map, the Attleboro area, the greater Attleboro area, we tend to be this hole, and everyone else tends to be mostly green around us. And for some reason, this section of the state has not really taken on to the green community adoption. And I think that there may be some different reasons for different municipalities, but I have to say that either under my former administration or under the mayor's administration now, and working with Gary and his department, trying to reach out to people, explain the program, what it is. I know that this time, and as well as last time when this was presented, to be able to help developers understand what are the differences in the costs and such. And the stretch code and the building code today are very, very, very similar. When this was first introduced, they were a little bit different, but since the years have gone on, there have been changes to the state building code that almost mirror now the stretch code. So when this was first introduced, it was more of a Herculean effort because it was such a difference, and that's something that doesn't exist today. So that's also another benefit for this type of opportunity, and to be able to look at this ongoing and for the future of the city. So certainly I feel that it's something important, and even though that I'm in my new position now in Mansfield, I have to say that we're also pursuing this as an option for Mansfield, which will be brought before the town board, select board, this upcoming summer season for consideration. And of course, different in the form of government versus you as the full legislative body, that would have to go before town meeting sometime in fall, which will probably be in November for us. But hopefully that we would be able to join. If the city does have this designation, then you'd have another surrounding community, hopefully a town meeting that would also adopt this as well. But I wanted to be able to come and express my support, and also thank Councilor Holmes for reaching out to me and inviting me to be able to share a few words with you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Councilor Holmes?
Yes, I just want to say thank you. You were, I reached out and I was pleasantly surprised and very grateful that you were willing to come today.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you, President Cooper.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in favor?
Good evening, Council President, members of the Municipal Council. For the record, my name is Gary Arazian. I'm the city's Director of Planning and Development. Kevin stole most of my thunder, so rather than standing here repeating that, let me try to tease this out and bring a different slant to it. Also with me tonight, Senior Planner Stephanie Davies, as well as the city's Conservation Agent and Environmental Planner Nick Wiley. They're both going to come up and offer their perspective on this matter. So at the outset, let me categorically say that the city's Department of Planning and Development wholeheartedly supports the adoption of the stretch code and a much larger becoming a green community. This is going to be at least the second, if not the third bite at the apple. Hopefully three times the charm. At the public hearing, at the last public hearing on the 4th, there were some comments. I think they were kind of at about 500 feet, 1,000 feet, talking about cost. Cost is an issue. Of course, that's going to play into this. But what I want to talk about is public policy. I'm going to talk about 50,000 feet. Anything we do, there's going to, more often than not, be a cost. But the question is that cost, is there a cost benefit where the greater good will prevail? And in our humble opinion, given the fact that we keep coming up time after time to keep pressing and that policy continue, unwavering, unless, of course, there's a change in that program that we then, after a while, say, well, it's kind of changing. But from our perspective, that policy, that program from the state, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, hasn't changed. I wanted to be part of that pioneering group of communities way back when, to kind of blaze that trail and become that green community. But for one reason or another, it didn't happen. I have to respect that that was not the desire of the city at the time. We came back, wasn't the desire of the city the second time, but we're back again. And I just want to tell you, at 50,000 feet, it's good public policy. It's good public policy. I say that not to repeat it, but for the sake of emphasis. It's about protecting the environment. It's about reducing our energy consumption. It's about sustainability. I'm not sure how one can argue that. And I know there's going to be some questions about cost, but again, it's a cost-benefit analysis. Does the benefit, does it outweigh that cost? And in our humble opinion, we think it does. There were questions about, well, are we chasing the money? Is it a grant? Is it the grants that we want? And Kevin, the previous speaker, spoke about the benefits of that. But let me tell you and let me reassure you that if those grant opportunities were not available, myself and my staff would still stand here before the city council and try to convince you to adopt these regulations because they're good for the community. Stephanie's going to talk more about the grants, so I don't want to get too far into those. We do stand to gain about $280,000 at the outset, and thereafter, on a competitive basis, we would be eligible for $250,000. To do what? To advance this program of becoming green with a variety of strategies that we've already started to implement before. There was a grant, a federal grant that we had received, an EOCDBG grant years ago, about $180,000. We got about $180,000 with all the rebates and all the work that Stephanie and the team did through National Grid and Constellation.
It was Bay State Gas.
Bay State Gas. Every time we spent more money, they kept leveraging more money. So it's almost one of those lines where you have an XY axis, and the closer you get to the X, you never hit the X because every time you spend money, you keep getting more money back for matching. So we just kept stretching and stretching and stretching that $181,000 into, I don't recall how much, but it's probably close to $300,000. And we did wonders with that money. I think we did it. And we did lower our carbon footprint. But again, that's something Steph will talk about, the Green Community Grant. But again, it's not necessarily for the funds. Once again, I think it's good public policy. When you look at the 5 criteria, the stretch code is one of the 5. And I'm just going to look at these very broadly. The first one is allowing renewable and alternative forms of energy, as well as R&D, research and development in our zoning ordinance. What's wrong with that? In fact, we've already done that. We amended our zoning ordinance to accommodate those. The second one is accommodating expedited permitting. Once again, not sure what's wrong with that. In fact, years ago, I think it was during Governor Romney's administration, so we're going back a while ago, of the various departments, planning departments that were tapped within the Commonwealth, my department, our planning department in Attleboro, was one of those that were tapped by the state to go and speak with state officials, a task force that the Romney administration created to talk about how do you do it in Attleboro? What is that about that expedited permitting process? And I think a lot of the techniques that we've implemented were adopted or incorporated into the state's policy. But where am I going with that? We were awarded a $150,000 Mass General Law Chapter 43D grant for that. And I'm like, well, we already do this. But they were like, here's $150,000, go do it some more. So we've been doing that. But it's one of the criteria, and I offer this as it's not a heavy lift. We do expedited permitting as we speak, as we do now. Another, hybrid vehicles or buying fuel-efficient vehicles as a matter of policy. What's wrong with that? I asked these rhetorically, so just in case. The fourth, reducing the city's consumption of energy by 20%. We have to develop a plan. And when I say the city, not the entire city of Attleboro, not the residents, not the just government itself. Reducing energy consumption by 20%, we have to develop a plan. Again, rhetorically ask, what's wrong with that? It generally just less cost, and the opportunity cost for that is by reducing our energy consumption, we save money, and the money that we would save otherwise spend on energy, the opportunity cost is that we reinvest that in something else in city government. The fourth, of course, is the stretch code. As I said in my opening remarks, I wish we were among the pioneers, but we weren't. But there's nothing wrong with playing catch-up at this point. There is a cost. When we presented this a few years ago, the numbers were roughly, and we were challenged, I'll give you that, but nonetheless, the numbers were about $3,500 to $4,000. That would be an additional upfront cost for that HERS test. And at that night, Seth Pickering, I don't know if that name rings a bell with anybody, but Seth Pickering and his boss was here, and I don't recall his name at the time. And they made it abundantly clear that the return on the investment was very short. We're not talking 15, 20 years. He said that the return on the investment would be about 3 to 4 years. So was there going to be an initial outlay of money? There is, and no one's saying that there isn't going to be. But in our humble opinion, in the grand scheme of things, it's a small percentage. You're going to make that back in about 3 to 4 years, and then you're just going to make the money back by having lower bills, lower energy bills, moving forward. The Green Communities program, after speaking with the mayor about this on a few occasions, also advances Mayor Haru's initiatives for a greener community. And where does this fall in place with his bigger picture of greener community? We urge you to adopt this on the stretch code. It aligns itself with his desire and his pushing to purchase the Highland Country Club real estate. It aligns itself with his request for the ban on plastic bags. Mayor Haru has been working with the planning department and the planning board, and ultimately he will be including the zoning board and the conservation commission on land development policies for more green development. And one of the other initiatives we're also working on with my department and the Director of Budget and Administration and others is with the consultant on retrofitting municipal parking lots with solar canopies and perhaps even rooftops. So this isn't just one aspect that we're just trying to be green. It kind of is in a collective of other initiatives that the mayor is unfolding. In closing, the other remark I just want to make is at the last public hearing, the building commissioner came and spoke, Bill McDonough. He said he wasn't ready that night with some of us, and he said he'd be back here tonight. But unfortunately, he could not be here. He asked me to express his wholehearted support for the stretch code. And I guess there were a couple of questions you asked Council Connie, and I guess they had to do with cost.
Can we stick to the stretch code, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. And that's it.
Thank you.
Council Copus, I saw you first, and then Vice President Preaker, and then Council Conti, did you have a question?
No, I just want to remind you, Mr. President, this is a hearing on the stretch code.
And so, I'm happy to hear a point of order in just a second. But if we can't answer these questions today, I'd love to hear back at a later time. But my question is regarding the green community and the 20% target, and if you believe that's something that's a feasible goal for us, considering we just spent the roughly $300,000 to address matters.
To address what? I'm sorry, Council Clovis.
What's that?
So we spent $300,000 to address.
You had mentioned the $180,000 grant that was stretched
I'm
out
sorry.
over. Just curious, over the last 10 years.
Point of order, Mr. President. What does this have to do with the stretch code?
Not a thing. Thank you, Council Conti. So we're talking stretch code, not green communities tonight. I was waiting for it, Richard. I was looking at you like.
Thank you for letting me go on as long as I did.
Thank you. Any other questions for, who was next? Did you have a question, Council Conti? Vice President Preaker, you all set? Okay, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I understand the public hearing is about the stretch code, but it's part and parcel with the green communities, and especially where it's one of the, so I guess what I would ask respectfully to the president is a little bit of leeway, if
So
you deem appropriate.
I think that we've hit on two of the four issues that are required, that are done, as far as the other things that have to happen in order to be designated green. The hybrid and the reduce the consumption and the stretch are remaining, and I think we can sort that out at the committee. We can ask those questions of
Fair enough.
the department head, and or the committee can go back and get answers to any of those questions that we have relative to the other elements of green communities that are required, but stretch is one piece of the 5-piece puzzle. Any other questions, Council Waterman?
Yes, I'm going to ask for your opinion on the stretch code. Why do you think in the past, with the council, that it's been very controversial? Just talking about the stretch code.
Cost.
Do you want to go into that a little?
From what I inferred from the public hearings, Councilman Waterman, is that it was an added cost, that the council was not convinced that the return on the investment would have been within 3 to 4 years, and that it was, I don't know, an unnecessary, I don't know if I should say inappropriate, but an unnecessary upfront cost to a homeowner. That's what I inferred from the hearings, that it was an excessive cost up front, despite my opinion that it's not. Again, it's a cost is a matter of opinion, but I defer to the council in your humble opinion that if you thought it was excessive, we accepted that, sir, as best as I could remember.
And you've already addressed that, or is there more you want to say about that from your opinion?
No.
Okay.
Council Conti and then Vice President Prica.
So, Mr. Arazian, what is the difference between the mandate of the stretch code and an impact fee of, say, $5,000 on a new lot to develop a new house?
Well, first of all, I think an impact fee, you have to have some rational nexus.
So, suppose we had a $5,000 impact fee on every parcel that was to be developed into a new residential structure to go to the capital improvement fund.
Yeah, once again, there is no rational nexus. There isn't, as far as I know in the statute, there is no statute that allows for an impact fee. Do communities charge impact fees? I think they do because they don't get challenged enough. Perhaps the impact fee isn't high enough for someone to take a community to court. So therefore, if we were to say, if one was to say, $10,000 per house lot, developer might say it's not worth it. I'd rather just tack it on. And so there's a break point. There's always a break point with everything. Push it up to 50 grand, the heck with it. There's no way I can afford 50 grand on top of every home, therefore we're gonna sue community X. That's an impact fee. If there is an impact
Point of
fee,
order.
there has
Point of
to
order.
be a
Sorry.
relationship.
Hold on, Gary.
Just a point of order, I thought, as it was just recently pointed out, this was about the stretch code and not impact fees?
That's right.
And I'm looking for clarification between what's the difference between an impact fee and the mandated stretch code additional costs.
I would still challenge that the impact fee is not a subject of this public hearing.
So the impact, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
the impact fee, the additional cost of a stretch code is the form of an impact fee.
It's the test.
In your
It's the
opinion.
test.
So I was asking for clarification of why it is not.
So in that regard, if I may, so what's required is a test. It's not a cost. A test is required. And that test is determined whether or not the house has sufficient sealant so that energy doesn't escape the house. There's a test, and therefore that test has a cost. So it's not the cost that's being imposed, it's the test that's being imposed. Now, I'm not trying to split words, I understand there's a cost, but there's a whole heck of a difference between an impact fee and trying to have a rational nexus between the additional funds you charge and the cost of upgrading a sewer on that street, or upgrading the water main in that street, upgrading the sidewalk on that sidewalk, as opposed to, Counselor, a developer building on Slater Street providing an impact fee for which an improvement is made on Middle Street, off Reed Street, if someplace where there's no rational nexus. The nexus is to require a test to ensure that there's a certain amount of seal, I'm not sure the technical word, so there isn't any minimum escape of energy, and that test, the HERS test, has a cost. That the rational nexus is for that house, it isn't for something else.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Vice President Preco.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in, Gary. Perhaps just to help Councilor Waterman, I was on the council when we rejected stretch codes the second time technically. Perhaps maybe you could expand just a little bit because of the difference between the state of Massachusetts made changes to their policy as it pertains to the green communities, which I know we're not talking about, but it's part and parcel to it, as well as changes to the building codes. So where it was a wider nexus, maybe you could explain how that might be a little bit different now, or
Sure.
why that's changed.
May I defer to staff?
That's up to the president. I have no problem with that.
Wait, before we do that, are there any other questions for Gary at this time?
Just a super quick one. Do you think it is in the city's best interest to adopt these stretch codes in the HERS rating and all of that? If the city were not to pursue the green community for whatever reason, is it still, do you think, a good thing for us to adopt?
Well, you have to do it in totality. If you just do any one, I guess any one is still good.
But we are only talking about
For the
one,
council?
so, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions for Gary at this time? Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay.
Is there anyone else here I think Stephanie, you're up next. Thank you.
Do you want me to start with the answer to your question, or?
It's the president.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the first time we came around, the building code and the stretch code, there was a significant difference between the energy efficiency and the requirements that the stretch code had. So basically what the stretch code is an appendix to the building code. So your building code is here, and then the stretch code is an appendix. And they were very different when the green communities first came out. And a lot of communities opted not to apply for green communities because of that. But slowly the two have become closer and closer. And I think that was a large reason for why there was concern on the council for adopting the stretch code. Now the difference is, as I understand it, the difference is minimal. There's really, it has to do with prescriptive energy ratings, and those are required now. So what you can do under and I'm going to dumb it down for myself because this is how I understand it. Right now you can build a house and you can say, well, I've got a 90% efficient washer and a 90% efficient dryer and this level of insulation and so on and so forth, and therefore I've checked off those boxes and that gives me X energy efficiency rating for this home, which meets the code, the Massachusetts State Building Code. For the stretch code, you have to actually demonstrate that you are meeting those energy efficient levels. So you do what's called a blower door test and other things to demonstrate that you actually achieve that energy efficiency. And that has a cost associated with it because you have to hire someone to go out and do the blower door test and demonstrate that you actually meet that. I would argue that the product that the homeowner, that the buyer is getting is a better one because you are now assured that the efficiency you are purchasing is actually there in that home. Now, there's been some talk about cost, and we've heard the number $3,500. Obviously, we don't know for sure what that cost is. But what I have heard as well is that, we can only go by the numbers that have been given to us, right, by the state and so forth. What I can tell you is that there are a number of rebates. The paperwork that we have from DOER, the Department of Energy Resources, is that the builders get a ton of rebates that helps to offset that HERS rater cost. So there are rebates for the energy efficient boiler and whatnot, so that $3,500 really comes much closer to zero, so that the increase is really offset in building to that level of energy efficiency. Again, that's the paperwork that we have, the information that that we're going on. But a lot of builders are building very, very close to this. The main difference is this HERS rater, and again, the prescriptive test documenting that the house is actually meeting this code.
Vice President Parika?
Thank you. So, would it be fair to say that the difference is also they would be mandated to meet that as opposed to having the option? Builders.
Well, the code, you have to meet a certain efficiency in the existing code. So that's mandated now. What's mandated is that instead of just checking off a box, so a manufacturer will say this insulation has this level of efficiency or R rating or whatever, but when you actually install that and everything's operating, does it really have that level of air flow through the windows or things like that? So the blower door test, you close all your windows, you get all your vents going, and you see how closed the house is. Basically, they get some kind of rating from that. So you're putting in certain windows which are supposed to have a certain energy rating, but when they're actually installed, just because the manufacturer said that, do they really meet that standard that they say they meet, basically? So it requires that it be demonstrated that you're meeting, but it's the same energy efficient level, if that makes sense. So that number is still mandated. It's the same number. It's just that you're documenting it as opposed to checking off boxes.
Council Dolan and then Council Holmes.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, and unfortunately, when Mr. Caponigo was here, I can't remember the report that he had given us. I can't for the life remember what it was called. What's that?
Riz check.
Right. So that, if I'm clear, that is what the developer builder checks off the boxes.
That's what they do now. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So nobody actually checks that. So in other words, when we do our inspections through our inspection department, they're not checking all of the R rating and everything like that during their inspection.
They check what the rating is.
Well, all right, so.
But they don't, no one goes in there and tests, I'm not sure exactly what you would test, but no one's in there testing to say.
So proving what you're
this,
checking off.
Right, that this is actually operating the way the manufacturer says it will operate.
Gotcha, thank you.
Again, this is how I understand.
Council Conti, did I see your hand? Any other questions for Stephanie?
Did you have a presentation?
Yeah. If I could just state quickly, and I don't want to get off topic, but just that I am in support of this. We have been trying to pursue the green communities for some time. The stretch code is a part of it, a part that is important and that we would support, I think, even without pursuing green communities, because it is an attempt to facilitate energy conservation and sustainability in the city. And I would just also quickly add that we really aren't interested in green communities just to chase a grant, that we are interested in pursuing it because I've been working on energy efficiency in the city for 10 plus years, and we've done retrofits at the police department, the fire department, zoo, city hall, on, but we have a long list of projects that we don't have, that we just can't get to because it is expensive to do, and
I'm going to squeeze this in really fast. Can you send us that list, or can you send the chairperson that list?
Sure.
Thank you.
Long list, but yes.
That's okay. Thank you.
Stephanie, if we adopt the stretch code midway through the development of the new high school, is it going to affect the high school costs?
That's a great question. I don't know. That's a great question. I believe that the high school, is really, I think I don't know if it's LEED certified or something like that, but they have very, it's going to be incredibly efficient compared to what we have now. So, but I don't know that answer.
Do we know if the stretch code includes municipal buildings?
I would think it
I would
does.
say,
Yeah.
I would say yes. So to answer the first question, if the building permit's already pulled, it wouldn't be retroactive, just like any other building, and I would say that what does apply to municipal buildings.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Council Dolan and then Council Cobus.
Well, it would only apply to municipal buildings if they were new.
Yeah.
If they're new buildings, not any existing
Well,
buildings.
I inferred that the council meant new buildings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cobus.
And if I could, through the president, when the individual was here from the state, he did mention that the high school would be exempt from this.
Yes, you did. Any other questions for Stephanie? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor?
Hello, everyone. As you know, I'm Nick Wiley, the environmental planner and conservation agent for the city. I'm here to voice my support for the adoption of the stretch code. Some of you might ask, why is the environmental planner voicing his support for this? So looking at this from bigger picture, adopting the stretch code and having better energy efficiency within homes can help, combat the effects of climate change by increasing our resiliency, reducing our impact on the energy grid, making everything more energy efficient. And it's just one small part in becoming a green community. I know we can talk about that later on down the line if this is to be adopted. But this is just one small part that can help further just our small community in aligning ourselves with state policies and federal policies and adapting to the effects of climate change and mitigating it to the best practical standards we possibly can. And this improves the quality of life of the new homeowners that go into it as well, because they are reducing their costs on utilities and energy consumption like that. That's another benefit as well. And if we were to go with the Green Communities designation, the extra grants that we'd be able to apply for is just an added benefit in my eyes. So I am in full support of this. And yeah.
Any questions for Nick? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor?
Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Hall, and I live at 140 North Main Street, and it's wonderful to see all these faces from this side. It's a nice thing. I'm definitely a proponent of what we're not going to talk about tonight, green communities, but I do have to say I agree total 100% that if you do get the stretch code, which I think is the hardest one to overcome, that, go ahead and do the whole thing, because there's a lot of money to be had. There is currently 240 communities that are green communities out of 351 municipalities in the state of Massachusetts. So there's quite a few municipalities that have joined on to this. This is, I think I showed this the last time when it came up. There is tons and tons of dollar figures of everything that has been done for every community in this page right here. So if you want to take a look at that, you're welcome to do that. I am going to pass around this also, because I think the thing that's really confusing to people, and it's really simple, is the HERES rating. It's simply a home energy rating. That's what HERES stands for. So I'm going to pass that around. I actually had one of these done in my house, so I know what it is. They actually came in with a big hose and made me close all my windows, and they came up with a number. The thing about the HERES rating and the stretch code is that you have to reach a certain rating. So if you're a certain percentage over, then you don't meet the rating. So that's the one thing that is difficult, I think, for people, is that you do have to meet that rating in order to be considered, meeting the stretch code. But as people know, I always like to see results. And I said to myself, does this thing work? There's got to be a report somewhere that says this works or doesn't work. So I did find a report that I will also share with you. One of the things I have to tell you that was brought up is the energy reduction. The energy reduction for municipalities has been very difficult, and over 5, 6, and 7 years it's taken them to do it, but they've done it. Okay, so I think what's being said here tonight is don't waste any more time. Get going on this thing. It has taken some of the municipalities' time to get it going, but now they're showing results on that. I'm going to read one thing from the stretch code, and this again is the summary from the Massachusetts Green Communities Program. It's the 2016 progress report. They do one every year. So I'll just read a little bit of the stretch code. I think you've heard it all before. If you will indulge me, and then I'll pass it around, you can see it. Municipalities must minimize the life cycle cost of all newly constructed homes and buildings and those undergoing major renovation. Municipalities have satisfied this criteria by following the DOERS recommendation of adopting the Massachusetts Board of Building Regulatory and Standards stretch code. The key findings that they found: penetration of the stretch code in Massachusetts communities is high. It's driven in part by green community requirements. As of November 17, 215 Massachusetts municipalities had adopted the stretch code. This represents more than half of all municipalities. As all green communities adopted the stretch code, green communities represent a substantial portion of the Massachusetts communities adopting the stretch code. And of course it goes on. The efficiency of new homes and homes undergoing major renovation appears to increase between 2011 and 2016. So you can see there's been some lag time that these folks have worked and tried to figure this out. The figure below shows the percentage of residential projects for several groupings of HERES, which is that rating, score over time. A HERE score of 55 and under complies with the version of the stretch code effective in 2017. So that's the number that has to be reached. A HERE score of 0 is a net zero energy home. That would be nice to have that. A HERE score of 71 and above does not comply with any version of the stretch code for new homes. So these projects are most likely major renovations. So anyways, there's a little chart, because I like that kind of stuff. I'll pass it around. You can take a look at it. But I did want to mention some of the anecdotal highlights that they received from the cities and municipalities, cities and towns. Many green communities indicated that homeowners understand the benefits of the stretch code, and they want better built homes with lower energy costs. They want them already built into their home. Okay, they don't want to do what I had to do, which is go back and have my condo retrofitted. I had foam sprayed in the attic, all kinds of things, but it did take the energy down. And you get a tax break that you can apply for. With rising energy costs, homeowners are eager to have more efficient homes. Homeowners continue to report that the stretch code has saved them money on their utility bills, and they're satisfied with the results of it at their homes. Adopting the stretch energy code has not adversely affected the town's growth. In fact, it's being used as a selling point. So that's kind of a neat thing, good marketing. And not all of these are glowing. After going through the initial learning curve and having to learn some unique ways of insulating a home, local builders have said they wished the code was in place when they built their own homes. Builders who were skeptical of the changes now fully support and recognize the stretch code as a better way to build homes. So this is information that the state is getting back from its municipalities. And I'll leave it at that, let you read the report. I tabbed it off nicely for you, so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And you can have that too. Thanks.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here neither for nor against? Anybody here neither for nor against? Great. Actually, I am gonna keep this public hearing open because I do think it's important for the council to hear publicly from the building inspector, and to have an opportunity to ask him questions in a public forum. So I am gonna keep this public hearing open at this time, and we will continue until July
16th or 18th?
18th.
16th is the first meeting.
That's the
We'll do-
first meeting, yeah.
We'll do that. Thank you.
Oh, 16th? I think it was 13th. Thank you.
And we have
One more.
one more public hearing this evening.
Okay, and this public hearing is relative to the Class 2 auto license amended application for GMV Inc., DBA Byrider, 957 Washington Street for 12 customer parking spaces and 58 display spaces.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Good evening. I'm Jerry Vashon, the owner of GV Inc. Yeah, this is nothing's, it's not a big deal. I could take any questions, but I want you to know it's just the corporate that's changing their name from JD Byrider to Byrider. So we have to go along with that. Got to take JD off the building, do all kinds of improvements or whatever they do. But it is what it is, and so, any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Bashan?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Con-
Oh.
Jerry, Council Blair.
So you're back at the old homestead?
I'm all over the place.
I meant with the new operation. You down where your dad was originally? Is this where you're going?
Yes, that's where I was brought up.
made many
I was
trips to
brought up
New
in
York.
1946.
I made a few trips to New York with your dad from now,
Yeah,
okay?
1946.
Great.
So, I
Thank
was
you.
just a kid then. I'm still a kid now.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Seeing none, that is in your committee. Council Dolan, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not, thank you.
Great, that public hearing is closed, and we will move on to, there are no joint public hearings, to the mayor's communication.
Okay, June 18th, 2019, dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Toby Reed, 27 Lamb Street, to fill an expired term on the Board of Library Trustees, term to expire February 2022. Copies in your packets.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Council on Aging, Madeline McNeely, regarding the receipt of approximately $12,652 through the Community Development Block Grant for fiscal year 2019. No match is required by the City of Attleboro. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to approve the expenditure of such funds and any further grant amendments by the Council on Aging. Copies in your packets. In order for this grant to become effective for July 1st, 2019, to pay associated salary and benefits for fiscal year 2020, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Council on Aging, Madeline McNeely, regarding the anticipated award of the fiscal year 2020 formula grant of approximately $94,812. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to approve the expenditure of such funds and any further grant amendments by the Council on Aging. Copies in your packets. In order for this grant to become effective for July 1st, 2019, to pay associated salary and benefits for fiscal year 2020, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Council on Aging, Madeline McNeely, regarding the anticipated award of the fiscal year 2020 Shine Grant of approximately $97,107. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to approve the expenditure of any such funds by the Council on Aging for expenditure and also to approve any further grant amendments. Copies in your packets. In order for this grant to become effective for July 1st, 2019, to pay associated salary and benefits for fiscal year 2020, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Personnel and Human
Personnel,
Services, yeah.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Clerk Stephen Withers regarding the need for funds for salary and wages to complete fiscal year 2019. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $398.34 from account citywide reserve fund for transfer to account clerk salary and wages. Upon approval, the available balance of the reserve fund for transfer will be $22,300.63. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to process this request for the end of fiscal year 2019 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Budget Appropriations Committee.
I respectfully submit a communication from Chief of Police Kyle P. Hegney regarding the need for funds to replace 11 cell block doors. The cell block doors are 34 years old and their usefulness to secure prisoners has expired and the doors should be replaced. As this project will take time to complete, the cell doors need to be inspected and temporary preventive maintenance conducted until the cell doors can be replaced. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $65,940 from account citywide insurance to account general fund continuing appropriation police renovations. Copies in your packets. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9 of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this an emergency measure.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from the Director of Recreation, Dennis Walsh, regarding the need for funds for Phase 2 of the Twin Village pool repairs. These repairs and upgrades are required to meet state and federal standards for the operation of a public pool. Phase 1, the installation of new drains, is complete and was paid out of the Recreation Revolving Fund. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $30,270 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account recreation professional services. Copies in your packets. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency measure.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Wastewater Thomas Hayes regarding the need for funds to pay unexpected legal fees incurred in this fiscal year. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $20,000 from account Wastewater Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account Wastewater Enterprise Fund professional services. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to process this request for the end of fiscal year 2019 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Public Works Committee, please.
I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Thomas Mattis, 42 Linden Street, Unit 2, to fill an unexpired term on the Personnel Board, term to expire February 2022. Copies in your packets.
Personnel and Human Services, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Water Courtney Wunschel regarding the need for funds to install security cameras at the Luther Pumping Station in the Russell F. Tennant Treatment Plant. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $6,000 from account Water Enterprise Fund Chemicals to account Water Enterprise Fund Professional Services. Copies in your packets. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency measure.
Public Works Committee, please.
As you are aware, Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53 requires authorization of the municipal council to expend insurance proceeds greater than $150,000. The third floor restroom at the police department overflowed on June 4th, 2019 and caused extensive damage. Damage estimates currently received total approximately $86,000 with a number of outstanding loss estimates outstanding. As such, it is possible that the loss could reach the amount required to be voted by statute. As such, at this time, as a precautionary measure and to satisfy the concerns of the city auditor, I hereby request your honorable body authorize the expenditure of insurance proceeds received related to this loss for the restoration of the police facility and replacement of damaged police assets. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency measure.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Chief of Police Kyle P. Hegney regarding the need for funds to cover the $25,000 insurance deductible due to extensive water damage at the police station. On June 4, 2019, the police department experienced a sewer backflow flooding incident that originated from the women's toilet on the second floor. As the city has a $25,000 deductible, a conservative estimate gauges that the total loss to be well over the deductible. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $25,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account police continuation appropriation police building renovations. Copies in your packets. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Chief of Police Kyle P. Hegney regarding the anticipated receipt of public safety answering point support and incentive grant of approximately $93,651 for fiscal year 2020 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, or EOPSS, State 911 Department. No match is required by the city. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to approve the expenditure of such funds by the Attleboro Police Department as specified within the parameters of the grant, and also approve any further grant amendments. Copies in your packets.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Fire Chief Scott T. LaChance regarding the need for funds to purchase the necessary personnel protective equipment for 7 recruit firefighters. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $43,050 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account fire foul weather gear. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to process this request for the end of fiscal year 2019 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Public Safety and Emergency Management, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Public Works Michael Tyler regarding the need for funds to pay a fiscal year 18 invoice. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $300 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Public Works bills previous year. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to process this request for the end of the fiscal year 2019 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Public Works Committee, please.
Submit a communication from Attleboro Public Schools Director of Finance, Mark Furtado, regarding the need for funds to cover the special ed tuition line. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $50,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account school department special education private school tuition and books. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency measure.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Randall Vincent, 17 Westbrook Lane, to fill an expired term as the Inspector of Wires, term to expire February 2020. Copies in your packets. In order for this position to become effective for July 1st, 2019, and to be consistent with the revised ordinances, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2019.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
As this honorable body knows, there are some storefront properties in Attleboro that have boarded windows. This is unattractive and discourages economic development in our city. The overall purpose of this ordinance is to help protect the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Attleboro by preventing blight, sanitary maintenance of protecting the city by preventing blight, protecting property values and neighborhood integrity, protecting city's resources, and ensuring the safe and sanitary maintenance of vacant commercial properties. One specific change to this ordinance will allow the city to issue fines for boarded windows. At present, an entire building needs to be vacant. This proposed change allows the city to enforce regulations and ordinances when it is just a unit within a building structure. City Solicitor Cynthia Amara reviewed the changes and approved them to form. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to vote on the following amendments. Delete in its entirety and replace with the following.
I'm going to waive the reading of the ordinance.
Wait a minute. Furthermore, I hereby request your honorable body to hold a public hearing at the appropriate time.
Thank you. That'll go to Ordinances, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. And Council Holmes, would you like to have a public hearing on July 16th?
Please.
All in favor? Aye. We'll have a public hearing on July 16th.
Sincerely, Paul Harub, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to the
Other communications.
Other communications.
Yes, and we have several this evening. The first one is a communication from the Office of Consumer Affairs of Massachusetts regarding a recently conducted audit of dealerships in the area for lemon law compliance.
Thank you to the License Committee. And Councilor Dolan, would you do your best to get in touch with Landmark Auto Sales, who is 20% compliant? And I'm just going to point out to all of the councilors why I'm asking Landmark Auto Sales to come before the council with their plan. Not calling for a public hearing at this time, but I will be prepared to on the 18th if the gentleman and the owner does not come here. I will be prepared to call for a public hearing for a revocation based on the letter from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on his noncompliance with lemon law and the duty within that letter of the municipality to protect your local, and I'm quoting from the letter, protect your local consumers and mandate the dealership's compliance with this law. So with that said, my expectation is that we reach him and have him come here and tell us what he's done to get compliance if he's not currently compliant based on the letter he received that we all received a copy of. So there is no public hearing necessary at this time, but I will call for one on the 18th if we don't hear from him on the 16th.
Okay. The next is a communication from National Grid and Verizon for the installation of a joint pole and anchor, pole number 2, for a new home at 11 Calvin Street.
Public Works Committee, please, and that there is a public hearing required. Would you like to call that on, for that on January, right, I'm going backwards.
Yes.
July 16th.
July 16th, yes, I would.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a communication dated June 11th, 2019 from National Grid and Verizon for the installation of a joint pole and anchor located 75 feet north of existing pole 3325 on Rathbun Willard Drive for the sewer pump station at the new Attleboro High School.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, and again, would you like to call for a public hearing?
Yep, on July 16th, please.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
We have an automatic amusement device license application from New England Authentic Eats, LLC, doing business as Papagino's at 103 Pleasant Street, and a public hearing is required on this. And also, this is a new owner. This is why we have to do this.
Great. Thank you. This License Committee, please, and Council Dolan, would you like to call for a public hearing on July 16th?
Yes, please.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes.
And we received an automatic amusement device license application from New England Authentic Eats, LLC, DBA Papagino's at 283 Washington Street.
Again, the License Committee and a public hearing is required. Would you like to call for that on July 16th?
Yes, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes.
We received an application to waive Section 11-15.1 to serve alcoholic beverages on city property submitted by the Friends of Cape and Park Zoo for their event on October 5th, 2019.
Again, to the License Committee, and this also requires a public hearing, Council Dolan, on July 16th.
Yes, please.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And we received a communication from Red Oak Mobile Village of 460 Collins Street, Attleboro, to register an objection to the rezoning petition for 495 Collins Street, Attleboro, submitted by Sterry Street Auto Sales.
Thank you. Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
And we received a Class 2 application for Watek Obaid of 196 Commonwealth Ave, North Attleboro, for Auto Maze 2, Inc., at 826 Washington Street with 11 customer parking spaces and 34 display spaces.
Thank you. License Committee, please. And again, Council Dolan, a public hearing is required. Would you call for that on July 16th?
Yes, please.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And that is all.
Thank
Probably
you.
tired of hearing me talk.
Thank you. And we will move right along to the Committee of the Whole. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to enter Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Thank you. We are in Committee of the, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are in Committee of the Whole at this time. If there's anyone that would like to address the City Council on any issue of city business, now is the time to do so. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to arise.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are now on to committee reports, and as usual, we will begin with Councilor Jackson.
Thank you. Reporting for Public Works Committee. I move to adopt the following emergency preamble from the docket of June 25th, 2019, that the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the City Charter, Section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the mayor to transfer $6,000 from account 6100-553130, Water Enterprise Fund Chemicals, to account 6100-530101, Water Enterprise Fund Professional Services for security cameras at the pumping station and treatment plant. Due to the security need, the nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Jackson.
Yes. I'm going to just make my comments right now because I didn't know anything about this emergency preamble until I walked in here at 6:30 this evening, as did none of you, until some of you at 5:30, because the mayor's communication came down. But just in reading the notes, I honestly don't see it as an emergency. I know the cameras have been out at a couple places, and they need to add some. We could have waited till next week to get this done because we are having a special committee meeting, so it came down as an emergency preamble. I am going to support it because otherwise it's going to come down next week as a regular motion, and I'm just going to have to go through the whole jigamarow. But I just wanted to make that acknowledgement. But this, I do not see as an emergency. But I am going to support it because otherwise we're just going to, like I said, we're going to read it again next week at the same time, but I just wanted to make my feelings known. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this requires a roll call vote, and this is to declare an emergency, and a 2/3 roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair, I believe.
Mr. Blair?
No.
You said no? Okay. Ms. Holmes?
She's not here.
I'm sorry. Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delisio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
No.
Mr. Cobus?
No.
Mr. Conti?
No.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
4 yeas. Oh, I'm sorry, President Cooper.
Yes.
Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 5 yeas, 5 nays.
Motion fails. Moving right along. Annette, you have other motions.
So it failed, so I'm all done with that one.
That's right.
Yeah. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $15,000 from account 6100-359000 Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6100-521020 Water Enterprise Lights and Power regarding needs for funds for lights and power to the end of fiscal year 2019.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
Thank you. No, we need lights and power to the water department.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments from any other councilors? Hearing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delisio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes, can you vote?
I don't think so, no.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $42,250.50 from account 6000-359000 Wastewater Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6000-553150 Wastewater Enterprise Fund to water meter supplies regarding the residential meter replacement program and the shared meter expense between the city's water and wastewater enterprise departments during fiscal years 2016 and 2018.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or
No.
comments? Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll start with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delisio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
1 yea, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. I have no further business this evening, Mr. President, but I would like to call for a committee meeting at the appropriate time next week.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Waterman.
Reporting from the Personnel and Human Services Committee, the docket of June 18th, 2019. I'd like to make a motion to move to confirm the appointment of Julie Hobson, 84 Barrow Street, North Attleboro, Mass. Position of Chief Assessor, as recommended by the Board of Assessors for a term of 3 years, term to expire February 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I believe we all had a great chance to meet Julie last week.
That's right. Any other council here?
I'd just like to take a minute and recognize and thank Stan Aswitz for the job that he's done for decades. We didn't always agree with Stan, but Stan's door was always open and Stan was always ready for a fight. So I wish Stan well in whatever he does, and I wish Julie all the best.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Blair.
I'd like to echo those comments, Jim. Stan was always available for me or one of my constituents to answer any questions. We didn't always agree, but we had fun disagreeing, and I wish him well on his retirement.
Great. Council Cobus.
I'd like to echo that as well. It was always a pleasure working with Stan, and he always had plenty of time to sit down with me and explain the details and argue back and forth with me when I didn't understand it, and then he would explain it again, and then explain it again, and then finally the light bulb would go off and it would click. And so it was always a pleasure working with Stan, and I echo those same sentiments.
Thank you. A voice vote is required. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
And from the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to confirm the reappointment of Jim Lewis to the Planning Board for a 5-year term to expire February 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
It is quite apparent to me that Jim is very much looking forward to serving another full term, and he has plenty of energy left.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you. I did have the pleasure of bumping into Jim on Saturday, and he is, you're 100% correct, Councilor Wadman. He is very excited about this reappointment and keeping up with the work that he's been with the planning board for so long, and he's grateful for the opportunity.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, a voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
Now I move to approve the request of the mayor, transfer $13,684.38 from the citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1141100515075, the assessor earned time payment regarding the need for funds due to the anticipated retirement of the chief assessor.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I believe this is self-evident.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Clovis?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And that concludes the business of this committee. I'd like to call the Personnel and Human Services Committee together at the next appropriate time.
Great. Thank you. Councilor Conti.
Reporting for Capital Improvement City Development Committee. From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $2,471.43 from account 3535-599000, Angel Park, other financing uses, to account 10004-499000, general fund, other financing sources, in order for the city auditor to close fund 3535, Angel Park.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I think this is self-evident. I have no further comments.
Great. Thank you. Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to allow the Recreation Department to expend approximately $10,566 in other future grant amendments of the Community Development Block Grant for that's federal year 2019, fiscal year 2020 for the Youth Center Program.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I believe this is self-evident, Mr. President.
I agree. Thank you. Any will require a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Mr. President, that completes the business the Capital Improvement City Development Committee has to bring before the council this evening. We look forward to a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Cobus.
Reporting for the Zoning and Land Use Committee, I have one motion tonight from the docket of June 18th, 2019. I move to approve the request of the mayor to accept the donation of open space lot number 30 containing 30 acres of real estate located off Avalon Drive in the Avalon Estate subdivision to the city's Conservation Commission from Matty North Street Development.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
We talked about this last week in committee. This is in the bottom corner of the city by the Rehoboth Norton line. Yes, so it's open space, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity for the donation, and encourage everybody to accept it.
Great. Any other comments? Seeing none, this roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
No, yes, sorry.
Ms.
Sorry.
Nolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Covas. Mr. Country.
No.
No? Okay. Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
And Mr. President Cooper.
Yes.
And just for my clarification, Councilor Dolan, you said
Yes.
yes. 10 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That concludes my business for the Zoning and Land Use Committee. I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, President, for reporting for transportation and traffic. There is, I have no business to bring forward this evening. I will be putting a flyer with regards to a meeting that will take place July 1st at the Attleboro Public Library with regards to some proposed changes at the Exit 3 gas station, Lathrop, South Ave. So I didn't have a chance to print, my printer was a little finicky today, so I didn't have an opportunity to print that off to put in your box.
Rough day. You had washing
I
machine
know,
problem.
we were having technical difficulties at the Parika homestead. So just be on the lookout for that. I will also forward that via email if you let some of your constituents know it will be held at the public library. I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Perfect. Thank you.
President Cooper reporting for Budget and Appropriations. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to adopt the following emergency preamble that the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the City Charter, Section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the mayor to appropriate $50,000 from account 1000-359000, undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government, to account 0930020-5321010, school department, special education, private tuition, and books to cover special education tuition line. Due to the timely need of the nature of the emergency, it makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I echo Councilor Jackson's sentiments. I don't see that this is an emergency. The special meeting for next week was already posted and talked about before this communication came down tonight. That being said, there's a full agenda next week. I will be supporting this tonight. I still do not feel as though it's an emergency.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on?
Yes, Councilor Delizio. What would happen if this failed?
It would come back down next week, I'm assuming, in the councilors, in the mayor's communication. So it's just kicking the can down the road a week.
Okay.
But I think a pretty strong message was sent that I don't think any of us feel that this was an emergency on a 5-5 vote, which saw it fail, the first one fail.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the emergency preamble? Council Cobus.
Just to add to that, I do see a difference in this, between this and the lighting issue, in that this does, I believe, need to pass before the end of the fiscal year to help fund the schools through the end of the fiscal year.
Sure, if I may.
Yes,
Which, it would be my expectation that even if it came down next week, it still would have passed. I just don't see the need for the emergency preambles.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. No, hold on for 1 second.
Thank you. So I did, we all received a memo. So I have another problem with this, which I'll get to at the main motion, but when I did speak to Deb Gould, our city auditor, this morning, some of this will have to potentially be utilized to meet the payroll requirements. And if we don't pass this until the 23rd, they actually have to do payroll after he signs it cuts it really, really close. So that would be part of the reason behind having it come down as emergency. Not impossible, but it provided Deb with a level of comfort. So I'll support the emergency measure, and I'll leave my comments for the second part of this.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this requires a two-thirds roll call vote, and we'll begin with, am I starting with Steve's?
I think it's Council Blair, I think.
Okay.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
No.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
9 yeas, 2 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor as an emergency measure to appropriate $50,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account school department special education private school tuition and books for special ed tuition line.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Councilor Delissio.
I have no comments at this point.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Cobus.
So, I will support this tonight, and I have a general question, and I can follow up and email Barry, but in the administration. But one of my concerns is back towards the end of our budget hearings. One of the things Barry mentioned to us is that we had roughly $80,000 left once we took that $1.2 million from free cash and applied it to the fiscal year 2020 budget. And that was roughly $40,000 in free cash and $40,000 in reserve funds for transfer. After transferring out the money for the assessor's retirement, that left us with roughly $22,000 in reserve fund for transfer, and I'm not sure how much in free cash, rough, but 40,000 was the last number that I heard. I know we've taken some out of there. Tonight, we have roughly $150,000 of motions coming out of free cash. I don't understand where that's coming from, and that's definitely a concern for me. I know we have a little bit of money going back in. It definitely wasn't enough in some of the projects that are completed, and it's roughly 50,000 maybe that's going back in. But so I do have some concerns where that's coming from. I know, so I'll send a message to Barry in the administration to understand that better, but I do have some concerns about this right now.
Agreed. 100% I agree. And this is just another reason why I hate emergency measures, because we don't have enough
yep.
time to react. We don't have, we work. By the time Deb's memo came by, wheels had already fallen off my day. I didn't have a chance to really fully take a look at it. This is why I think that emergency measures, when they come down, have to be true to emergencies. I'm off my soapbox, but I do agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Perica.
Thank you. In a different vein, when you read Deb Gould's communication, what I struggle with this particular motion is that it gives the appearance that we're giving extra funding to special education. That's not actually the case. There are multiple line items in the school budget that have the potential of having a shortfall. So when we say, or when it's in the newspaper, that the request is coming in for more special education, number one, it's for fiscal 2019, not for the $300,000 shortfall for next year. Number two, it gives the impression that we're giving extra funding to special ed, which we're not. We're already underfunding that. In addition to that, there are many moving parts throughout the school system, whether it, as stated, there are many shifts, whether it's out-of-district transportation, McKinney-Vento, enrollment changes, uncontrollable costs like workers' comp, healthcare coverage due to qualifying events. All of those things are what we're taking into consideration now with this specific appropriation. What can happen with this is that we approve this $50,000. They might need it. They might not need it. And what will potentially happen is in fiscal 2020, they will return. We just had a vote not that long ago for putting funding that was not expended by the Attleboro Public Schools, $79,000, back into the general fund. So it's my hope that with this $50,000, whether we have the money or not, or however it goes, if we make the vote, they better find the money. If it comes back, then the recommendation and suggestion should be from this municipal council that it does actually get put to the special education line. They have multiple line items in there. That's exactly where it should go. So I find that the location that this is going to be disingenuous, and it gives the appearance that something else is happening when really they're just going to take whatever funding that is and transfer it throughout the rest of the budget to meet their needs should it be necessary. So I'll approve it. I always support the Attleboro Public Schools, certainly anything that has special education attached to it, but that's not factual. So that's what I had a problem with this particular motion. Thank you.
Council Cobus.
Let me just clarify. I do trust that the money's there, and it wouldn't have come down to us. Deb Gould wouldn't have approved it, and I'm sure she's reviewed it. So I'm sure the money's there. I just don't understand how things have changed from when we had roughly 80,000, which supposedly is 60,000 now after transferring money out for the assessor's retirement, and now we're taking this 150,000. So I agree with exactly what you said, Councilor Delicio, about emergency measures and not really having the time to understand it. But I do trust that the auditor has done her due diligence and that the money's genuine, actually there. So that's not my concern. Thank you.
Council Blair.
Just one question. Can we be assured that this 50,000 is going to special needs accounts?
No.
No. May I respond?
No, you can't, because it says right here, school department, special education, private school, and tuition and books for sped tuition line. That's what it says in the motion. So they can't, it would be my expectation that they couldn't spend it anywhere else. Deb won't let them.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
That's what it says right here, Council Cooper. I'm reading it. Right? We're all reading the same thing. Am I missing something? If I am, help me understand.
So, if I may, after speaking with Mark Furtado at 10 o'clock last night, after speaking with him again today, after speaking with Deb Gould today, it is where it's to cover the sped tuition line. It is my understanding is exactly how I explained it before. If it's being restricted because of what we're voting, well, that's not what the request that was made for. And I actually have the memo that was sent to, if you'd like me to look that up really quick, I can find the memo that was sent to the administration from Mr. Furtado. I just have to switch into a different Gmail.
Well, we got one, the one
Yeah, we have it in
today.
Communication.
The one from Deb or the one from Mark Furtado?
Mark. Today.
Was that in with the emergency
Yes.
preamble?
Yes.
Then
And it gives the account and the account number and name that they have to spend the money. Deb is not going to let them spend it anywhere else without coming before this honorable body. I don't imagine it happening. Councilor Delicio.
What I will say, and we see this throughout the year, departments can transfer money from any line item to any other line item. As a matter of fact, we praise certain department heads for the way that they do that. So I don't think anyone's trying to cry foul. I don't think anyone's trying to accuse anyone of being underhanded in anything, but I think the fact compiled with the emergency preamble, the fact that there is nothing restricting what these funds are used for. We have communication from Deb, which admittedly I haven't had time to really dive into, one from Mark. You know, I think these are the right questions to be asking.
Council Blair.
And I'm just following up from constituents I meet on a daily basis. They're tired of school funding. That's why I asked, are we sure it's going in?
Councilor Reynolds.
So I just want to ditto what everyone is saying here. I think that when we get as many, these multiple emergency motions on the night that we come in, we have no idea they're coming down, that it's just too much. It's wrong. It's wrong procedurally. We don't have the time to review it. We're not getting the information that we definitely need. And it's not that I don't agree with some of these, but I'm just not going to vote for them. This is not This is not the way it's supposed to occur. And if we allow it to continue, it will continue. The rules are there. If we have to follow them and do proper procedure, well, so doesn't the administration, and that's the bottom line. So I just cannot agree to some of these.
So I would agree with that if this was February. But this is June 18th, 2 weeks before the fiscal year ends, and we have a special meeting next week. And I gave a very clear message that the special meeting was about me, not the administration. Me and this council, not the administration. So in some of these, they were doing what they were told to do by me in terms of getting things wrapped up according to the regular schedule. But, you know, I agree that perhaps the last one wasn't, but, I read the memo from Mark. I didn't see the one from Deb today. But I did read the memo from Mark, and he hasn't steered us down the wrong path. He gives me no reason to believe that he's not going to use the money for what he tells us he's using it for, and nor would Deb let that happen. So I'm comfortable with this. We could be doing it as an emergency measure this week, or we could be doing it as an emergency measure next week. You decide. So with that said, any other questions or comments? Yes, Councilor Jackson.
Thank you. So Mark Furtado, the very last sentence in his memo is any funds being transferred to our budget should be directed to the sped tuition line. Bottom line is, that's how his memo ends. So that's where it's going. And with Deb's follow-up, I have to believe that it is, and I have no doubt, like you said, Deb's not going to let it go anywhere else.
No.
So, yeah, that's the end of my comments.
And he gives the account number. He
Yeah,
doesn't
he
end it there.
does,
He
yeah.
gives the account number.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Yep. Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
No.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $8,000 from account 1210100-511-000, police salary and wages, to account 1300100-5111110, education salaries, school crossing guards, regarding the need for funds to cover deficit in the crossing guard payroll account.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
Only thing I'll say is this is due to the increase in minimum wage.
Any other comments, questions from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds? Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yep.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, no nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to appropriate $74,982.87 from account E-rate stabilization fund, other financing uses to fund E-rate IT fund, other financing sources regarding the need for an appropriation from the E-rate stabilization fund in order to purchase a variety of technological items.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Comments?
My comments, I'm just going to group together for both of these. We talked about, again, the E-rate, the history of it, where the money comes from. The Attleboro Public Schools are looking to get one Chromebook for every student, middle school and high school. Vice President Perica was able to get some information. If you haven't gotten this in your mailbox, it's really good. It talks about the journey, talks about the plan, lets us know where we're at, where we're going in order to get those one-on-ones. And I believe it was brought up last week, that a lot of the testing, whether it's the MCAS, are now done on Chromebooks. And if they're not all done on Chromebooks, ultimately they will be done that way. So that's about it on that.
Great. Any other questions? Councilor Cobus.
I do have some general concerns about the program. I think technology is wonderful.
Yep.
I do have some concerns that I'll bring up at a later time, but for now, I do support this.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Mr. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 5-8 lease to purchase agreement of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve a 48-month lease agreement with HP Financial Services regarding a lease of 1,000 Chromebooks.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
No.
Any questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $5,084.24 from account Hyman Fine Hill Roberts Boilers, other financing uses, to account General Fund, other financing sources, to close Fund 3420 Hyman Fine Hill Roberts Boiler, as this project has been completed.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order.
My comments are going to take, go for the next, I think, 5 or 6 motions. Similar to Mr. Conti's earlier in the evening, these projects are completed. There's money going in from as little as $47.60 to over $15,000. So it does run the gamut, so it'll be good to get some of that money back into the general fund.
Great. Any other questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $47.60 from account Brennan Wamsutta Boilers, other financing uses, to account General Fund, other financing sources, to close Fund 3421 Brennan Wamsutta Boilers, as this project has been completed.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments? Any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman? Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $553.08 from account Willett Boiler, other financing uses, to account General Fund, other financing sources, to close Fund 3423 Willett Boiler, as this project has been completed.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments? Any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $12,050 from account Willett Media Center AC, other financing uses, to account General Fund, other financing sources, to close Fund 3425 Willett Media Center AC, as this project has been completed.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
No comments.
Any questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And finally, from the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $15,517 from account Hill Roberts AC units, other financing uses, to account General Fund, other financing sources, to close Fund 3426 Hill Roberts AC units, as this project has been completed.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments? Any questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Waterman?
Yes.
Conti?
Yes.
Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, and that concludes the business for budget and appropriations, and I would like to call for a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Great. Thank you. Council, never mind. Council Reynolds.
Okay. reporting for City Property and Claims Committee from the docket of June 18th, 2019. I move to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to accept the donation of playground equipment and supplies with an estimated value of $38,000 from the Ariella Marie Memorial Foundation at the Tilda B. Stone to the Recreation Department.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
No, I think we spoke about this last week.
Great. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
I, too, have an emergency preamble and an emergency measure. In this particular case, it is something that has to be done because the pool is supposed to open June 26th. So it is an emergency. The money is needed. So I will read the preamble from the docket of June 25th, 2019. I move to adopt the following emergency preamble. That the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the City Charter, Section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the mayor to appropriate $30,270 from account 1000-359000, undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government, to account 1630-1000-530101, recreation professional service for Phase 2 of the Twin Village Pool repairs. Due to the timely need, the nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter.
Second.
And again, that's supposed to open June 26th.
Thank you. Any other questions or any other comments?
No, I think it's pretty
Any questions on the emergency preamble? Seeing none, this requires a 2/3 roll call vote, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Vice President Perica.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor as an emergency measure to appropriate $30,270 from account 1000-359000 to account 1630100-530101 for Phase 2 of the Twin Village Pool repairs.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments? Any questions from Councilor Jackson?
Just a comment. Dennis Walsh does a phenomenal job. His reports, his director report comes in on time every single month. It's very accurate. He fills us in on everything that's going on. But he really has turned the recreation department around in the time that he has been here. And so I want to give him, big kudos because the citizens, the children of Attleboro, they're very, very fortunate to have the pools that we have and have the playgrounds that we have. And the ball fields, it's wonderful. And I just want to give him and his whole department kudos because they do a phenomenal job.
So I'm just going to make a comment to that, is that because the South Attleboro pool is no longer there, I want to make it clear that that was not the recreation's, that's not something they did not do. They did everything in their power to keep that pool open. This was a state-mandated thing, and once the state got involved, there were all kinds of new rules and regulations that had to be adhered to, and that couldn't be done without spending over $1 million. So I will go right along with Councilor Jackson and say that Dennis Walsh has been more than upfront with everything. So that I just want to make this clear. This is just not for this pool. He did everything in his power to try to keep that pool open in South Attleboro, and it's unfortunate it could not happen.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Ms. Vice President Perica.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And that is all the business that I have this evening for City Property and Claims, but I would like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Hold on for 1 second. Before you close that committee, were you here when the motion was read and seconded? You were?
Where you were?
No.
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 She came back to her seat right at the end. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't call on her.
Right.
Yeah, you weren't.
It was for the preamble.
The preamble, she.
Yes, but one is, you know, you gotta declare it
You
an
do both,
emergency.
don't you? Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then-
she wasn't here to
because
declare it an
wasn't
emergency.
Declared it, right.
That's fine.
That's
So
why I
it's
did
10.
that. I wasn't trying to slight you, but.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Thank you.
Reporting for Ordinance, Election, and Legislative Matters Committee, I have one motion this evening from the docket of May 21st, 2019. I move to adopt the following ordinance. Ordinance relative to 2-hour parking. Be it ordained by the Municipal Council of the City of Attleboro as follows, that Section 10-5.3B of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro is hereby amended as follows. Delete Sanford Street southerly side from North Main Street to Bank Street. See Section 10-5.3S and Section 10-5.3B. Insert Sanford Street southerly side from North Main Street to Bank Street. 2. Delete Section 10-5.3S.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
Thank you. We discussed this in committee. This would, it was a drop-off pickup area for a daycare that is no longer there. This could potentially open up some more parking in that area that's needed, so I would support this and encourage the council to support it.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
I think so. Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the business for this evening, and I'll call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great. Thank you. Council Blair.
Thank you. Reporting public safety emergency management. I move from the docket of June 4th, 2019. I move to adopt the yearly operational plan submitted to the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources by the Attleboro Parks and Forestry Department, addressing vegetation management in the city, including herbicides and planned treatments.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
We talked about this last week. We're coming in compliance with the state, and I'm truly satisfied that the park department and management down there is doing what's required.
Great. Any other comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Cobus?
Yes.
Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
I too have 3 motions coming with emergency preamble, and they truly are emergencies. This is the type of thing we should be getting as an emergency. The first one, from the docket of June 25th, 2019. I move to adopt the following emergency preamble, that the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the City Charter, Section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the mayor to authorize the expenditure of insurance proceeds related to a June 4th, 2019 police facility water damage loss and for the restoration and replacement of damaged police assets. Due to the timely need, the nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed times as provided in the city charter.
Second.
This particular, if the rest of us don't know, is a toilet malfunction on the second floor in the police station. The water and surge went down to the first floor, all the way to the basement. And during that emergency, we lost some equipment. We have some repairs to make. It's a sanitary situation, so I would hope that it's pretty near self-explanatory. If any of you has ever had a toilet overflow, imagine the mess that was over there by the time it got down to the cellar.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, two-thirds roll call vote is required to declare the emergency. And the roll call will begin with Counselor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
11, right?
I'm sorry, 11 yeas, 0 nays, I'm sorry.
The motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to approve the request of mayor as an emergency measure to authorize the expenditure of insurance proceeds related to the June 4th, 2019 police facility water damage and loss, as well as the restoration and replacement of damaged police assets.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional
No further
comments?
comment.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 25th, 2019, emergency preamble, that the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the city charter, section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the mayor to appropriate $25,000 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1100210-582514 police continuation appropriation police building renovations to cover the insurance deductible for the June 4th, 2019 water damage incident. Due to the timely need, the nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter.
Second.
This is just to pay the deductible. The rest will be insurance money. We just voted to be able to expend that. So this is our deductible, similar to deductibles we all have with our own insurance.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required to declare this an emergency, and we'll begin with Counselor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor as an emergency measure to authorize the expenditure of insurance proceeds related to the June 4th, 2019 police facility water. Appropriate $25,000 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1100-210-582514 police continuation appropriation police building renovations to cover the insurance deductible for the June 4th, 2019 water damage incident.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
No fish. No.
Seeing none, no, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And finally, emergency preamble from the docket of June 25th, 2019. I'm getting a little dry. That the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the city charter, section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the mayor to appropriate $65,940 from account 1124100-574010 citywide insurance to account 1100-210-582510 general fund continuing appropriation police renovations for cell block replacements. Cell block door replacements. Due to the safety concern and the nature of the emergency which makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments?
This particular emergency come about as a result of a prisoner breaking out of one of the cells down there. He actually forced the door open physically, breaking the lock, bypassing the lock's mechanism by forcibly opening. These doors are about 30 years old. Those of us on the council, if you remember, a couple of years ago, we approved replacing 2 of the doors. This is to replace the remaining 11. And we have civilian lockup keepers there. And they're civilians. Not only that, our police officers need protection also when they're down there. So, it is what it is, and we've got to protect the people that work there. And it's a big bill. And I've been on the phone with the chief on and off for the last 3 or 4 days. And it's just the age of the building and what we're working with, and it's a safety factor. And it's truly an emergency.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a 2/3 roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor as an emergency measure to appropriate $65,940, from account 11241-000-574010, citywide insurance, to account 1100210-582510, general fund continuing appropriation, police reservations for cell block door replacement.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
No, sir.
Any questions from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. I have no other business this evening. For public safety emergency management, we request a committee meeting next week at the appropriate time.
Thank you. There is no old business. There's no new business. There is a special meeting next week. We will have we'll open the special meeting, we'll recess for committee report meetings, and then we'll go back into the special meeting. And I will be, you'll be getting a notice, Virginia may have put it in your box, I'll be out of town 6/28 to 7/7, and Vice President Parika will be the acting president during that time. And with that said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned at 9:17.